Good afternoon. I am Bhupinder Sandhu, the legal rep of applicant B074. In the case of B074, my position is that the applicant is not a part of Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Question is, why did the applicant move to Kilonichi? The applicant traveled to the LTT control city to be with his paralyzed uncle who needed help running his store. The applicant was able to travel there because at that time a ceasefire existed between LTTE and Sri Lankan government and he was unable to return to his home. The next question is, what were the circumstances under which the foreign national had to work for the company that was controlled by LTTE? The applicant helped his uncle's store for approximately 1 year, at which time he had to obtain a job with construction company. The applicant obtained the job through an acquaintance of his aunt to avoid frontline service with LTTE, as he did not want to partake in any terrorist activities. Now, why did the applicant leave the country? In 2009, after his aunt and uncle were killed as a result of shelling, the applicant left the conflict region and moved to a refugee camp. He escaped to Malaysia, and from there he traveled to Thailand, where he obtained passage on the MV Sunsea. What was the nature of the job that the applicant performed at the company? He worked in the administrative section of a road construction company. Was the company the foreign national worked for owned by LTTE? As per the applicant, the company was controlled by LTTE, and there are other reasonable grounds to believe that the company was controlled by LTTE. Question to ask is, what's the meaning of term member in paragraph 34(1)(f) of the Immigration Refugee Act? It is settled law that the term member, as it is used in section 34 of the IRPA, must be given a broader meaning. In determining whether a foreign national is a member of an organization, some assessment of that person's participation in the organization in question must be undertaken. In this regard, three criteria that should be considered include the nature of the person's involvement in the organization, the length of the time involved, and the degree of the person's commitment to the organization's goals and objectives. Now, what is the standard of proof in determining whether a foreign national is or was a member of the organization and whether has or will engage in terrorist activities based on paragraph 34(1)(c) and (f)? The standard of proof applicable in determining whether a foreign national is or was a member of an organization that there are reasonable grounds to believe engages in, has engaged in, or will engage in terrorism is really low. In general, the evidence must establish that more than mere suspicion, but less than the standard applicable in civil matters of proof on the balance of probabilities. This test will be met where there is an objective basis based on compelling and credible information for the belief that paragraph 1, the person is or was in fact a member of the organization, and 2, that the organization does, did, or will engage in terrorism. The next question is, was the foreign national a formal or informal member of the LTTE? The applicant in this case worked for a company that was controlled by LTTE, but he never received any military activity or directly engaged in the front line of battle. Hence, the applicant was not a formal member of the LTTE. LTTE did not only have the de facto control of government operations in the region in which the applicant lived, but it also controlled the region and imposed severe restrictions of movements by civilians. People within that region who could not find a way to work in a family or other business and was not controlled by the LTTE may have had little realistic alternatives but to either join the LTTE or work for an entity that is controlled, particularly if they needed to work to support themselves or their families. The applicant was not committed to LTTE's goals and objectives as he worked for the company not to further the terrorist objective of LTTE but to avoid forced recruitment, and there is no evidence that he had any involvement with the LTTE after his job with them ended. He also did not refer to himself as a member or express a desire to become a member of the LTTE. The next question is there an evidence that the applicant has received any military training from LTTE? The applicant has indicated that he's never received any military training. He was in fact hired by Mr. Master to work for the company in 2007 when the recruitment was forced as a caretaker of a house for engineers and other officer grade people in the company. He was paid by the LTTE and left that employment together with other employees of the company when the Sri Lankan army advanced into the region. Now, why should the applicant not be sent to Sri Lanka? The applicant tried his best not to be involved directly in any LTTE related activities and escaped from the country. If he's sent back to his country, he has fear of his life as he did not participate in the activities that he was expected to in the country. Thank you.